Ladies and gentlemen, it's 6 o'clock. It's time to get the work session started for the City of Louisville, July. Glad to see everybody here. Make sure nobody else in the parking lot. I don't see anybody else out there. It's a bit too hot. Stay out there long. So there you probably the first two. We're going to start tonight on leaders in prayer since the chaplain is not here, and then we're going to have a pledge of allegiance. Let's pray. Dear Lord, thank you for the blessings of the day. Give us the strength, courage, and wisdom to make the proper decisions for the City of Louisville. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the minutes, let's have citizens comment. Citizens comments. Everybody know the rules? Anybody got anything want to say tonight? Come up there and say. All right, we'll skip that part. Everything said in the meeting, come back and say it in the meeting. All right, the agenda. Everybody seen the agenda? Anybody got changes to it? I entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we accept the agenda as written.
I'll second.
Motion by Denise, second by Tommy. Approving the agenda, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. For your information, Julie, that said she's not probably good tonight. She's not well. Okay. We'll see the minutes. We will see the minutes this week.
Yeah.
On Sunday.
Just haven't emailed them out.
So, y'all read that and get your order one out this week. This is the show U.S. color, U.S. your colors. That's what I'm saying. That's that word. It's not. It's U.S. your colors. Red, white, and blue. And this is the one we're picking one this year instead of drawing. So we'll pick you one. We're picking. We don't. You know what? You know what? So we're not gonna pick. Not draw people. We're picking. I think it's all decided. I think it's all decided. Because the drawing we didn't think was a fair way of doing it.
That's not, there's been a lot done.
That's what we decided. I remember that. Because I didn't like the other first time. So that wasn't. Okay. All right. Down to finance. Tonight we're going to listen to our audit report from Wayne Tuck. You come up here and talk to us, Wayne?
Thank you, Mayor and Council, for the opportunity to be here this evening and share with you. I'm happy to report that we finally have the 6/30/24 audit completed. It has been submitted to the state, Georgia Department of Audits and Accounts, and everything is now complete and the city is current with the audits. We're glad. I'm happy to report also, as you'll see there, if you take a look on page 1 of the audit report, as we say in the very first paragraph there, I'm happy to report that in our opinion we feel the financial statements represent fairly in all material respects of the financial position of the city as of June 30th, 24. That is what we call an unqualified opinion. That is the goal that should be expected of every audit, and the council should always expect that. I always say never assume that, but expect that standard to be met every year with the audit report. So I'm happy to report that this thing is done, has been submitted, and again we're able to issue an unqualified opinion again this year. Won't go much into looking at each of the financial statements. I know that you're just now getting those in your hands at this moment, the first chance you've had to look at these. I will say, generally speaking, when you look through the financial statements, I like to compare them to the prior year. I think when you have a little bit of trend, you can see a little bit of trend analysis. When you start doing that and comparing them to prior financials, gives a little bit of perspective on the numbers instead of standalone numbers. And doing that, you're able to see that the revenues across all the funds, without exception really, were up, including even the water sewer fund. The only thing that was down was connection fees, and that was kind of a unique year last year with 23 with a very, very high connection fees for a new project there. but the operating revenues were up, and that's the key item, is to see that on each of the funds. In addition to that, the cash position, almost every fund was up over the prior year. So revenues up, cash up slightly. All those are good signs of a solid financial statements for the city as of that point in time, and I'm happy to report that to you. Again, I always like to encourage councils. It may not be the most riveting reading you'll ever do, but I do encourage you to take the time to read the report. The notes to the financials behind the financial statements are really what I kind of call put meat on the bone. They kind of explain the numbers and put context to the numbers versus just the raw numbers in the financial statements. It kind of gives a feel for where the city is on things. There's disclosures such as the debt, payment schedules, receivables that are still due the city, other liabilities. And all those things are useful information for putting context to the financial statements when you look at those. So I always like to encourage everybody to please take the time to look at those. I think you'll find that they provide you a lot of useful information when you're asked to make decisions about future expenditures or future decisions of the city. I think you'll find these will help give you confidence in making those decisions when you look over this and see the city's financial position and see the context to all the numbers on here like this. The other thing I'd like to point out is we're going to obviously get started here very quickly. I've already been speaking with Tangi about getting started almost immediately here on the 25 audit. Our goal this year, as it should be every year, is to have it completed by the year end of this year and be back here either in December or January, one of those 2 months, and reviewing it again with you at that point. So we're going to work closely with Tangi, Frank, and the entire staff and make sure that this year we're able to get these things done promptly and timely. And so that we're talking here again in either, like I said, either December or January to go over the next year's audit report and to make things a little more timely as it should be. So again, I appreciate the city allowing us to work with them again this year, and it'd be remiss of me not to thank Teresa, Frank, Tangi, Teresa, the entire staff. They went out of their way to help us with everything we needed for doing this work. It seems like each year our standards and our profession up the ante another level where we're having to ask for more information and dig into more things than we've had to in the past, and they went out of their way to help us with that, and we're very appreciative of that. And again, I appreciate the council and the city's confidence in allowing us once again to work with the city and to perform the audit, and we appreciate that and take that very serious, that responsibility that you have placed with us. So again, to sum it all up, basically it's I think overall a very positive position the city's in. Everything is now complete and current, and again we're going to move forward working on the next year's audit, and also assisting where we can. Independence kind of limits us to a certain point, but assisting where we can and providing advice on the software conversion that they're looking into now, and being able to assist with that where we can on that. So again, thank you for letting us help you, and if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them, or if not today, you're welcome to call me or anytime, and I'll be glad to meet with you and go over anything. So thank you.
Okay, items.
We're waiting on the reconciliation, so we'll have those this week for you.
And
I mean, I'm like, listen, I've been working hard on trying to start this audit over here. I've been working on this new audit, so, oh, my brain.
all right, BS9 converted, Frank, how to do it?
Yes, just an update. We did the first phase last week and a half. They pulled the initial data out of CSI. We've had discussions on community development, which includes building inspections and permitting and business licenses. We've had utility building. Do you have the initial one on financial, or is that this week? The financial accountability stuff is coming up shortly.
We did that one last week.
Okay.
UB's coming up, I think, this week.
We'll finish those inquiries between now and early part of August. We'll have phase 2 starting in September, and the go-live date is still projected as January 20th. We'll have trainers in basically the week before that to look at how we do things, the week of to make sure we're doing everything, we're working correctly and the system's working correctly. And then last week of January, they'll be here for training to watch how we do our utility billing from meter reading all the way through the cycle till we mill them. So that should be good at that point. So that's just a quick nutshell of.
I got one question.
Yes, sir.
How's our new website coming, Tony? We're getting close.
It's gonna be.
It's in my hands.
Oh, no.
I just haven't had time to sit down and get through the training module yet. So as soon as I get through that, it'll go by.
Good. All right, that's all we're right now. The next thing on the agenda is a request for, I guess Glenn Kelly's gonna present this for the plan for the city sesquicentennial. Ooh, say that.
I just said that right.
I did, didn't I?
Oh, you did?
Think Sasquatch, and it's easier to roll that off.
No,
I don't know either.
that lives off Silver,
Sesquicentennial.
Nah, I said it right.
Don't hurt yourself.
Okay,
I would.
Okay, next year, 2026 is the City of Lula's 150th year anniversary, our sesquicentennial. The Historical Society asks that a committee be formed to meet within the next 30 days to plan events celebrating our 150th anniversary in 2026. Keeping in mind that the United States is also going to be celebrating their 250th year next year, and we don't want Lula to get shadowed out by national events. We ask that the committee be comprised of 2 council members, 2 Historical Society members, 2 Development Authority members, and 2 Lula Lady members who will meet in the City of Lula's conference room to plan how we will celebrate the event. We'd also like to ask the city to allow us, the Historical Society, to display a selection of 150 years of our history on the back wall of this conference room in increments of 50 years each to display our progress and events from 1876 to 2026. We want to set the displays up by Monday, November 3rd of this year and remove them after 2026. That way people could take a look and see and maybe have a little pride.
you've already got the display, you already got the displays built, or?
Well, that's the committee we're gonna be doing.
Okay,
Just pick them out.
I see that from August until November, they got a lot of work to do.
All right. Also, can you go ahead? Since we don't have one of us around, Historical Society would also like to request our usual sponsorship from the city for Fall Festival and request for meeting space for us at the depot in 2026 and 27, and request to use the Rafe Banks Park for 2026 annual car show and the 2026 Fall Festival. And that's all I've got.
One thing on your paperwork for the,
Yes.
the third set of, is that for the year, you have 2 of them are 2026, actually the second one's the 2027. November 30th and 20 is 20, you know?
Are you talking about C? Request to use Rafe Banks?
No, the meetings,
Oh,
the meetings, the dates are wrong for the year. The years are wrong on one of them.
That's the,
January 25th is actually 2027, not 2026.
oh, you've got that. I don't have that in front of me. I'm sorry.
I just remember that.
The meeting dates.
Yeah,
Gotcha. Okay.
that's just for fire clarification on that was.
Yeah. If you could just use your pen and scribble, maybe.
Just like that, right?
What are you on?
Oh, okay. I see it now. Yeah. Yeah, 27. Gotcha. Okay. Yes, November 29th of 2027.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
November 30th, 2026.
Okay, so that's 27?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do read these things, y'all.
Yeah, I'm proud of you, actually. Okay. I'm
Yeah,
done.
you got your job done, didn't you?
Thank you.
That was quick.
Well, I tried.
Good. Okay, who's gonna take care of the next divorce?
That was actually Juliet. But then it's just the ongoing discussion of recognizing community individuals and different ideas she had as far as naming and whether it's plaques or facilities. So I will leave that for her to go into the details that she was thinking about.
All right, Frank, it's time for us to get into it, right? The release and I brought my book today, you do that?
Well, we're going to finish up chapter 11 today. If you go to the last handout, it has, the last handout has the green lines on it.
Yeah.
So once we finish chapter 11 today, that will give us about 2 to 3 meetings to complete the remaining portions, the ones that are not highlighted. So August, September, October, be through with be finished with the draft and going through the draft. You can see the chapters that are still there. And I think from our last meeting, I would like to pick up on chapter 11-3, accessory residential uses. I think that's when we all got tired and glazed over and it was time to go home. So I'll try to prevent that from happening again, but the first one under accessory residential is just defining what those type of uses are. So it's not intended to be exhaustive, but it is to be to follow. So garage or carports for storing vehicles, shed or tool rooms for storage of equipment used in grounds or building maintenance, children's playground and play equipment, quarters for keeping pets owned by the occupant for non-commercial purposes. I think we've talked about that before. We do have one resident that shows AKC animals. So for him, it is a commercial venture, but that's the only one I'm aware of. The private recreation facilities such as swimming pools, bathhouses, cabanas, tennis courts, subject to the applicable regulations in other places of the code. Deck or patio, fences and walls subject to requirements 11.1-2, which we've already talked about. Guest houses, which we'll come to, structures designed and used for purposes of shelter in the event of a man-made or natural disaster. Vehicle parking, subject to requirements 11.3.7, so we'll get to that shortly. And personal horse stables in R3 zoning, subject to requirements 11.3.8. So we go through there, and then generally what type of materials, what size. What I direct your attention to in 11.3.2 is D, and think about the various homes, home sizes, lot sizes, when we're talking about area. In no case shall the total area square footage of a single accessory building or structure exceed 50% of the square footage of the principal building structure footprint to which is an accessory. So we have a number of houses that are small, around 1,000 square feet, so that would limit any shed, barn, whatever, RV parking to 500 square feet of that. So think about that and the implications. We have one currently that's in permitting. The home is 5,400 square feet, and the proposed shed, extra car garage is 4,800 square feet. So by any definition, those are large, but that's a 4-acre parcel, so it's well hidden from the front. But that's what I'm saying. You think about what it means, that 50% threshold, and where.
This is what it's currently worded?
This is what the proposal is. The current wording is very similar to that currently, yes. All right, the next one that we're looking at specifically is a guest house. And I'm going to ask you guys specifically, between 1133 guest house and 1134 accessory apartment.
Before you get to that
Yes.
point, I'm gonna interrupt you here. On 1132E, building materials for accessory buildings, do we want to prohibit metal siding for accessory building? Barn amenities are popular nowadays.
Is this permit?
It's prohibited.
For buildings over 200 square feet.
Accessory building, which was correct, yeah.
Yeah, so
If
if
you got
we're
one
talking a
amendment-
small shed, it would be a permitted item. It's only when you get into larger structures.
You build
That's a discussion for you to think about how you want to address that.
a single car garage is over 200 square feet. One car garage, it's over 200 square feet. Yeah, if you got a barn unit, say you're gonna build a freestanding single car garage next to it, do you want to prohibit that building from having metal siding like the barn meeting does? That's something that's really think about.
Yeah, I agree with you. Cause metal siding, I mean, that's what a lot of people's
It's
going
going
with now for their houses and
I
everything.
mean, you could say highly reflective. That's one of the words we got to before about color,
All right.
break down color fence. Go ahead.
I got that marked.
Yeah.
All right. Here's what I'm going to ask you on the next two sections. We currently, in our current code, define a guest house and define an accessory apartment. The difference between the two is a guest house is not supposed to be rented out, one, and two, it cannot have a kitchen facility. Accessory apartments can be rented out and can have kitchen facilities. Do we care?
A guest house cannot have kitchen facilities, that's what you said?
That is, under the current code, that is correct. So
Yeah,
depending,
allowed in apartments, I think it's allowed in the guest house.
and if that's the answer, and I'm okay, do we need both definitions? We really don't at that point because they're the same after that.
Yeah, I don't understand
The
I don't
inference,
understand the implications. I don't know if that's an insurance thing or
no,
what.
it's not. The inference is we didn't want people renting property in their backyards. So if it was going to be used by a family member, we didn't want them to have the ability to then change around and rent it.
Mhm.
Now, that being said, and going back to definitions, cabana, pool house, whatever, they can all have, they're not excluded from having a kitchen cooking facility.
Or outdoor kitchens.
Or, yeah, so that's why I'm saying,
Do that.
do we really care to keep the guest house definition?
I don't see the point of it.
Yeah, I don't think,
Yeah.
I don't think.
I'm
there's any-
just
But if
saying
it has
back-
a guest house without a kitchen,
Because they wanted you to go to the main house
And eat?
and visit.
okay?
Okay, that's historic, but that's the semantics difference in there.
Sure.
And the question is, do we care as we're moving forward?
No,
Um,
I don't care.
Go spend some money and buy some kitchen stuff and fix out your guest house and
Let them have.
support the economy.
Right?
Let them have a kitchen.
in which case, we don't need the definition of guest house, or we rename accessory apartment as guest house. Either way,
So that does away with that section.
right. So accessory, it basically says if you're gonna create one of these things, it's limited in number, only one per parcel. You still have to have the main home first. Parking, you have to add a minimum of one parking space to the property, and it's gotta be located in the side of the rear yard. Minimum floor area, 300 square feet, so the upper side of tiny homes. Maximum shall not exceed 900 square feet. Currently, the way it's written currently, it cannot be larger than the main dwelling. So if I had a 2,400 square foot dwelling, I could do a 2,400 square foot apartment. That's why we started with a 900 square foot maximum, not to have two main houses on a property. That was definitely an accessory to the main house. Entrances would be on the side or rear, so it wouldn't, this specifically applies to if the accessory apartment is attached to the main house, that would be to the side or rear, not seen from the front. That's the way it's currently in the code. Exterior finishes, we get to the same question you had on other buildings, accessory buildings. It says, shall have exterior finishes or architectural treatment of an appearance substantially similar to those on the principal building. So if the principal building's brick, we would expect the guest house to be brick. If it's hardy plank, we would expect hardy plank. The way that's written right there. Any comments, feedback?
Consider it for review this week.
Yeah. The next item is water and sewer to those. They would have to connect to public water, which is us, either public sewer or individual septic that's approved by the appropriate health department in Banks or Hall County. And what was that?
I was just trying to read how that was worded.
Yeah, so if there's a,
Or is served by public water, because I was like, I don't get any on my property.
it just determines the,
Okay.
like if you were on a septic.
Right, I was trying to read how it was worded, because I was like, I don't get either of those.
If you're on public sewer for your house, you're gonna
You
be on
have to
public
be on
sewer.
it for that.
If
Okay.
you're on septic, we would generally anticipate you going up being on septic.
Question,
Yes.
if the house is on a well and you want to put this new apartment in there, can you put it on city water? Is there something
Could it be on city water?
For a tap
Are
fee?
we excluding that or not?
We're,
No, I'm just saying, I think about that, and I don't know.
we wouldn't exclude them. We would try to probably encourage them to do both structures at the same time.
Well, we had a-
Is this the house already there on well?
I had a property that was on well, I wanted to hook the city water, but, because it runs to the property next to mine. I was denied to hook the city water. Reason being is they said that they would have to put another fire hydrant in because of the footage, I don't know. And they didn't want to spend the money to put the fire hydrant, so I was denied. But however, if fire hydrant would already been in place, they would have let me hook up to city water. That's in the past, it's been a few years ago. Well, it was before I was on council.
Yeah, I think we would review them on a case-by-case basis anyhow, to look at what's going on and make recommendations.
If they're gonna move forward, well, I'm not gonna do it.
Right.
I mean, y'all will keep well and
Sure.
All right,
see if they can do well.
and here's where the change is conceptually. Number G, occupancy. Either the accessory apartment or the principal dwelling unit shall be owner occupied. So the owner does have to live on the property. They can't have two rental on one property. That is there.
Definitely review that
All right?
this week, discussion.
So you're saying only one rental property,
The
Building.
person couldn't build an accessory apartment, then move out and rent to two different parties.
talking about the main house and the apartment?
Right.
Okay,
They would have to live in one and rent the other one,
gotcha.
is what we're saying. All right, private swimming pools is 11.3-5. Basically, we're applying the setbacks basically as they are today, all swimming pools should be located at least 10 feet from all property lines. Swimming pools must be enclosed by a fence or wall at least 5 feet in height or otherwise specified in the adopted swimming pool code or building code, and maintain in good condition with a lockable gate. So that's pretty much standard. The next one, yard sales. Basically, just going through those, yard sales were permitted, and right now they're permitted in every district, every residential district. Shall not exceed 72 hours for each yard sale. A yard sale on a particular property shall not occur more frequently than 4 times annually. All merchandise must be property of those holding the sale and not purchased for the purpose of resale. That's a fairly typical definition. So that's the next one is 11.3-7, vehicle parking in residential zoning districts. So the parking of automobiles is permitted in garages, carports, or outdoors. Unenclosed parking shall not exceed 4 outdoor automobiles per single family or 2 family unit in any front yard of a lot. Parking shall be permitted only in designated hard surface areas with concrete or asphalt surfacing and shall not be permitted outside such surface areas. No parking in the yards. And if you look at that, we're talking front yard. So recreational vehicles is a subset B.
So you park in the grass about behind your house, but not by your house.
That's what the way it stands right now. Yes. So it's no parking in the front yard. In the grass in the front yard, obviously you can pay.
There won't be grass
I
around.
don't even know which side of my house is the front and which is the back.
Kind of like me, a rule for everything.
Today it's this way. Tomorrow it's the other.
Some pick a side.
You gotta think about when we started this. This is these are discussion items, not locked in hard and fast.
Is this how it's currently written?
It is written very similar to this. That is not the current wording,
Okay.
but it does say you're not supposed to park on the grass. Recreational vehicles would not be parked on vacant residential lots. Then we go in the whole definition, whole list of uses, type of vehicles, that they may be parked or stored only in side yards, rear yards, carports, or enclosed buildings. So that sort of leads from paragraph A and that discussion. Commercial vehicles is C. Once again, not on vacant residential lots and keeping them out of the front yards of the residential zoning districts. One commercial vehicle may be parked or stored in the side or rear yard of a lot in a residential zoning district, but if stored regularly in the side or rear yard, the vehicle and vehicle storage area shall be screened from view from the abutting properties and parked on a hard surfaced area. So back at A, it allows the community service director to look at alternatives besides asphalt and concrete. If somebody wanted to propose something, that would apply here also. Excuse me. So review that. 11.3.8 deals with livestock. Basically, broad definition of livestock that would not be in the city, but it would be permitted in A, which is agriculture, or R4, which is the rural residential. It may be a principal use or an accessory use to a residence, provided, however, that at least 2 acres of lot area is provided for each horse stabled on the property. So we're only dealing with horses, so think about the goats we have and the potential for cows, or in our case, case llamas. We have a few of those running around too.
We have llamas.
There's at least 3 that I know of on Chattahoochee Street. Actually, Carter Street, excuse me. So that's,
One thing up there, when they're building a structure for the shelter of horses, have to look everything 200 feet in the property line. But above it, they have at least 2 acres. So you're gonna have to have more than, you gotta have almost 4 acres to be 200 foot from the property line in either direction. They'll always take that number to 4 acres instead of 2 acres.
yeah, and we're open to comments and suggestions, so.
Yeah, well,
So the max,
so
if you want people, probably, let's drop it back down 100 feet, each property lines to 200 feet.
don't our ag, doesn't it have to be 4 acres to be considered ag?
Under the
now?
current, it's 5.
Under the current, it's
Yeah.
5.
Or
So ag would not be a problem, it's
R4.
R4, which is a rural residential, or state residential.
Yeah, I think that 200 is excessive.
unless you live next to a stinking horse.
I also think that the 2 acres is excessive. I definitely want to review that and discuss that this week.
All right. All right, the next section is home occupations, that's 11.4. Just going through this is similar to what we have, but we want to look at 11.4.2, physical limitations. And these are the discussion items. Unit devoted to a home occupation shall not exceed 1,000 square feet or 30% of the gross floor area of the dwelling, whichever is less. So, if I got a 1,000 square foot home, which we have some of those, that means no more than 300 square feet of the home could be used. If it's 2,000, we're talking about 600 square feet used. Okay, it's just maybe. And this gets back, looking back at accessory buildings that we talked about. So right now, it says nothing is supposed to be an accessory building. This would allow some change to that. Are devoted to home occupations, no more than 1,000 square foot of combined gross floor area shall be used for such activity. So this would give you, what we don't have now, is the ability to have something out in the workshop or someplace. But the total would not be more than 1,000 square feet.
So you're saying they could operate partially in the home, but they could have an accessory building as long as the total isn't more than 1,000?
Right.
And where it's at now, they can't have an accessory building as a
That's
house?
the way it's written right now, is there's no accessory buildings, everything has to be in the home. So that would be a change. 11.4.3, alterations to the dwelling. Basically, we're saying don't make any changes to the outside of your home. That makes it look like it's a home occupation or a business. It should continue to look that way. Parking of vehicles. And this goes back to the whole discussion we've had all along, what vehicles are permitted or not permitted. Only vehicles used primarily as passenger vehicles shall be permitted in connection with the conduct of a home occupation. And we've had a whole discussion on what size and when you transition from a personal use vehicle to a commercial vehicle. So incoming vehicles, so customers shall be at all times parked off-street within the confines of the residential driveway or other on-site permitted parking. So we don't want your customers, if they come there, to park on the street. We want them to park on your property. So 11.4.5, visits by patrons are limited. Home occupations including medical, professional, or personal services involving visits by patrons shall require special use approval from the governing body, which is you, and shall be limited to more than 2 non-residential persons on premise at the same time in conjunction with the home occupation. Currently, our ordinance does not allow people to be on site. So this would be loosen that up somewhat. Obviously, if somebody has a home occupation, there's going to be some delivery of packages, FedEx, United Parcel, United States Postal Service, others. So transporting of goods by commercial truck would be prohibited, and receiving goods would be allowed.
So they wouldn't be able to
So
have,
by truck, we're talking commercial versus what we were talking earlier by,
so if UPS dropped, they couldn't send something back with them? Is that what that's saying?
the way I'm reading that right now, yes, that's what it says. Now, that's, like I said, discussions, not,
I think that, I mean, if
it's
they're already
trying to
there,
get your input,
right.
it's trying to get your input. But what's the difference between FedEx, UPS coming to get it versus a commercial?
Versus dropping it off, it's
Sure,
kind of,
it's your opportunity.
So I assume it was actually trying to prevent like a
of
tractor trailer.
delivering, but.
coming in.
The
but
tractor
not
trailer
shipping.
for shipping out, yes.
Maybe we should word it differently.
Mhm.
I get the tractor trailer thing, but I mean, if we're gonna allow UPS and FedEx to drop off packages, why should we prohibit them from picking it up that don't?
So you're saying a tractor trailer can't stop and deliver a refrigerator, washing machine?
No, that's
This
not.
is a
no.
business,
This is for home occupations. We're talking about home occupations.
for operating a business out of your home.
And typically, most places aren't using tractor trailers. They're using 450, 550 or something.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if you don't let them receive, I think it's good to ship out too.
Right, through that is, I mean, I think we
Alright.
need to figure out a different way to word it.
All right. Equipment, off-site impacts and nuisances. No home occupation shall generate traffic, sound, smell, vibration, light, or dust that is offensive or that creates a nuisance. There shall be no exterior lighting of the building or property that is not in character with a residential neighborhood. No equipment that interferes with radio or television reception shall be allowed. Home occupations must exclude the use of machinery or equipment that emits sounds, and they're listed there, that is detectable beyond the property. Chemical, electrical, or mechanical equipment that is not normally a part of domestic household equipment and which is used primarily for commercial purposes shall not be permitted. So they're trying to make some distinction between what you and I would have as a handyman special versus running your full-blown construction business out of your home. 11.4.8, signs are prohibited. In conjunction with the home occupation, whether placed on premise or in a vehicle parked on the premise. This section shall not be construed as limiting the property owner from erecting signs permitted on the lot pursuant to Article 19. So the closest one that jumps out to me on that would be Robert Grissell's property. He's within his allocated limits of signage. This one would say, the one that's advertised as his construction business would not be permitted.
It's Article 19. We don't have.
Do what?
What's Article 19?
Article 19 is signage,
It's just the signage.
the signage ordinance, and basically we agreed to keep the one we have.
Right.
So if I remember correctly, without pulling it back, I want to say it's 18 square feet total for a residential parcel.
Placed on the premises, there should be no signs.
So you still looking at that?
Yeah, I'm confused.
It's just-
So that's why I was trying to think what it said about,
We're talking specifically in residential zoning
yeah,
districts.
what it said in Article 19 that was allowed for residential,
We don't get into types, we get into square footage.
just square
Square
footage.
footage.
So
So
Do-
the-
even if it's in the square footage, if it's advertising their home occupation, they can't put it, am I reading that right?
you're reading that right, the way it's written currently.
So there can be a sign up, it just can't advertise their home
The
occupation.
business. That's the way it's written right now,
That's how it's written right now.
yes.
Yeah, and then the vehicles, I mean, a lot of them will have signs on the vehicles.
Or on a vehicle parked on
And
the
that
premises.
goes back to the whole discussion we've been having between home occupation vehicles and take-home vehicles from commercial businesses.
I'd say we review that this week.
Yeah,
Probably a lot of discussion.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, 1149 is employees. It's basically the way it's written right now. Only occupants of the dwelling shall be authorized to work on the premise in connection with the home occupation. So that is the way it is today. That's not a change. I would say there's a number of businesses that would ask you to look at changing that, entertaining a different number, that some number of employee could park and work and come to their home site. Gray tree service being one. I would, without saying anything, S&S septic would be another one.
Answering services, schedulers, remote office. I mean, probably would want at least more than somebody that lives there to come.
Well, that gets to the
Title
definition.
abstractors.
That gets to the definition of what a home occupation is.
Exactly.
Right.
And when did it change from a home occupation to a commercial enterprise?
Commercial.
Mhm.
And
I can review that one.
okay, the next one, 11.4.10, display, stock and trade, sales and storage. So there shall be no display, no stock and trade, or commodities sold on the premise in connection with the home occupation. Nor shall there be any activity associated with home occupation visible outside the dwelling. That's basically where we've been. There shall be no exchange of merchandise of any kind on premise. Incidental storage of products which must be mailed, shipped to the customer or recipient is permitted within the physical limits of the home occupation as established in this chapter. So you can have goods, you just need to send them versus the customer coming to pick them up directly. And the question I asked you there is to look at the difference as we go through this. If you allow one or two chair beauty salons, which have a customer, has to come there for that type of business, would you object to other types of businesses being there? And
Okay.
it becomes one of those,
So,
how
I guess-
successful.
So what comes to mind with this with me and how this falls, but I've sold Mary Kay from my home before. So that would, I mean, you keep stock. Sometimes people come and pick up it's makeup.
This one from outside the dwelling, you can have this one outside the dwelling. You can have it.
You can have the stock as your customer. It's basically limiting your customer from being there. and picking it up themselves versus you sending it out or delivering it.
Right.
How are you gonna know?
The way I read it is it prevents exactly what.
It depends on who calls the
Right.
complaint.
So the client just can't come, like, you can't
Yeah. I think we
say, I've
should,
got it ready, come grab it.
I think we should review that one as well.
That's not it to go.
I mean, because that's a home,
That's what occupation is.
I mean, that's, I mean, yeah,
That's
I
what
mean, I don't know what to say.
Well, you'd
I
still,
don't know how to
you'd
add
still
it.
have to
I mean,
comply with
I would,
the traffic.
right, the
Yeah.
traffic, I
So-
mean, you're not gonna have more than two people, I mean, you're not gonna have but one person come do that. It's not like it's gonna
Right.
generate, and it may be rare, that may not happen very often, but I'm just thinking, maybe somebody sells T-shirts out of their home. Somebody may wanna run by it and pick it up. I just feel like that's a little too restrictive
Yeah, they may
for a
show,
home business, because, I don't know, you got Avon, you've got T-shirts, you've got Mary Kay, you got, I don't know, Tupperware.
there's a lot of.
There's a lot of little things that would be a home business.
Anyway,
Yeah, Amway.
Yeah, I think what would happen is if
So,
if you
I
had
just-
such a lucrative business that you had a constant flow of customers coming in,
Right.
then you would be in violation of something else. That if somebody called and said, hey, there's way too many people coming in and out of here, then it would be one of the other restrictions that would be the
That would pick
kicker.
that
So
up.
I don't know that we may want to reword this one on the quantity, because if it's occasional
Right, it's just,
and not disruptive or a nuisance, what's the harm?
All right,
I wouldn't
I feel like,
necessarily want to
and
discourage it.
I may be speaking ugly right now, but I feel like if you have a neighbor that don't like you, they can take that and just run with it. And, I don't, just saying.
yeah, you
I feel
got,
like the opportunity's there.
and you gotta think the other side is, right now, code enforcement is reactive, not proactive.
Not proactive,
So,
right.
all right.
I don't know, that's
All right.
just my thoughts on that.
11.4-11, uses specifically prohibited. So this is occupations that are prohibited. Auto sales or auto repair, restaurants, animal hospitals, veterinary clinics, kennels, or the keeping of animals, funeral homes, retail or wholesale shops, machine shops, special event facilities, and lodging services. So those are
Prohibited. And this is R, what, R1?
R1, R2, R3. The approvals would change somewhat under this scenario, so you got to think about this. Currently, it says it goes to you. You have basically delegated over time to staff, which has been generally Teresa or Tangi. This would change that, change the wording and say director's approval. And it lists what would be required, so address and reference material, site plan of the lot where the home occupation is proposed, showing the location of the principal building, accessory buildings are proposed to be used, parking areas. The site plan may be based on a boundary survey or an engineering scale plat if required. And then some type of written narrative, which at a minimum describes the home occupation, hours of operation, and generally how the home occupation complies with the chapter.
I have a question. So you're saying that that's what's gonna be required for someone to come in to get a home occupation license?
Yes.
All that you just said?
A site plan, a narrative that gives directions of what they plan on doing.
Even if it's an office, let's say I have a landscape business, but I'm only using it for office purpose. Nothing else, nothing stored there, I mean, any of that, but so if I came in for that, then I have to bring you all this, site plan, everything? I'm asking because we take applications for this, so I'm just trying to figure out what we would be asking for.
Yes, that's what it would, is saying.
Okay,
It's
I
proposed
just
showing the location.
got you.
So something more than drawn on the back of a napkin or something, but something with some dimensions that shows where it is and where it falls, and where the parking would be. And then the narrative of what you're gonna be doing and hours of operation.
So they could theoretically go to a publicly available website which has an engineered scale map of their property. Make modifications to that document to show where they had planned to do whatever activity, and then present that as their plan. I would think so.
Well, you change this language based upon this language to make that work.
It says the director may not require as well. The site plan
The first
to
sentence
be based on
there.
a boundary survey or on an engineering scaled plat. So what is the definition of an engineering scaled plat? A acceptable map that has a scale?
I think that what you're getting at is taking off a Q Public and.
Exactly.
That would not be an engineered scale plat. That
So-
would be that first sentence. That would be the first sentence.
A site plan of the lot on which a home occupation is proposed, showing the location of the principal building, accessory building, if proposed to be used in conjunction with the home occupation and parking areas. And then it goes into the second
Yes.
level or second degree
This
of.
is if
Mhm.
they're building, is that what this is? If they're building an accessory building?
No,
No.
if they say, hey, my
I'm
home
This
is,
is
I'm
ours.
gonna have the office in this room, and this room is this many feet by this many feet, so that you can qualify them under the percentage of home restriction,
Okay.
so that, they would have a map of some sort. But it would have to have dimensions in it. It's the second sentence that is the second degree of potential, as the director may require the site plan to be based. So do you want to allow the director the ability to require a site plan based on a boundary survey or an engineering scale plat, which we only hope they would only reserve that for something that is a little more critical,
I
that would
think,
need that extra scrutiny?
I think what you're starting to look at there is on these 46, 4,800 square foot lots that we're approving right now, where it becomes more critical because you're closer to your neighbors.
Mhm.
Where if I'm on a quarter-acre lot in Narramore, which they're bigger, but it would be less concerning, so it would be less critical to have it down to the dimensions.
Okay, I got what you're saying.
It does make sense. And I think it's not an undue burden for the applicant to provide the minimal in the first, that's described in the first sentence. The second sentence, of course, if it's levied arbitrarily on people, then that would be a complaint that council would have to hear. Because there is a resolution clause in here. Is that not the case for all of these?
Well, if 11.4-13, the provisions of this chapter may be modified or varied pursuant to the application by the property owner for special use, according to the procedure specified in 23-2, which is the special use section. The director may provide a recommendation whether or not to approve said modification. So there's something here that they object to that can go through the special use, which would take it out of the staff director and put it back to city council.
Mhm. Okay.
All right, let's go through the next section. It's a little quicker. The institutional uses. The first one is churches, temples, synagogues, or places of worship. Basically, we're stating R1, R2, R3, and R4 zoning districts. When you're abutting that, you should be set back a minimum of 50 feet from any other property line. And within that 50-foot setback, there should be a 25-foot natural buffer, so meaning planted vegetative. And so accessory uses, we list those as what's, once again, not inclusive, but that are acceptable as a residence for the housing of the pastor, priest, minister, rabbi, etc. School buildings and temporary classrooms, gymnasiums, other indoor recreational facilities, community meeting rooms, and unlighted outdoor recreational facilities. In commercial districts, a community food or housing shelter may be operated as an accessory use to a church. Special uses in residential zoning district. When located in a residential zoning district, no church shall be permitted to establish a daycare, house more than one household or family on site, or provide lighted outdoor recreation facilities without a special use permit approved by the governing body. So if they wanted to do something, it would come back to you as a special use application.
Question,
Yes.
on the spoken word church, how's that gonna affect them on the setbacks?
They're basically grandfathered because they already exist.
This is only on new,
This
would
would
be
be new
new.
build.
New build.
What,
It's a new
The
build.
existing would all be grandfathered because they're an existing church, existing use. It's only on the new construction. All right. Clubs are large nonprofits. So once again, we're looking at R1, R2, R3, and R4. That if you're in there or abutting it, you need to maintain a 50-foot setback. And that within that 50-foot setback, there'd be a 25-foot natural buffer, meaning vegetative. So, and we do, in the earlier chapters, we defined what those vegetative buffers would look like. So once again, this gives you an option if you're trying to do something such as establish lighted outdoor recreation facilities. It comes back, to you as a governing body to consider it as a special use. Then the next section is the continuing care retirement communities, and yes, I know I need to renumber that sentence, but the facility may have on-site as part of its development the following accessory uses for use of residents and their guests only. So we go through a whole list of those that are commonly with continuing care retirement communities. We also go B, minimum floor area per unit is 650 square feet. That's, it becomes a question for you guys. Maximum building height, maximum building coverage. So depending on the zoning district, we're saying for these type, it's 40% of the land. Minimum lot size for this type of use, we're saying it's 5 acres. And the setbacks and buffers, we're going, as we said previously, for clubs and lodges and churches, that a minimum of 50 feet from the side and rear property lines and 25-foot vegetative buffer in there. Occupancy in these types of facilities, at least 80% of the units may be occupied by residents, must be occupied by residents 62 years or older, and the remaining units must be occupied by at least one resident 55 years or older. Then we move on to institutional residential living and care facilities. So where they're permitted, they shall meet the requirement of the State Board of Health and applicable rules of the State Department of Human Resources. Proof of compliance with such requirements shall be on file with the director. So if they move forward, they would have to provide evidence for the files that they were approved by those two departments. Next one, 1155, rooming house and group houses. This section is intended to address concerns about dormitory-style housing in existing single-family neighborhoods. It is adopted in response to concerns that when a large number of people rent rooms in one home, there are sometimes negative impacts such as overcrowding, unsanitary conditions, illicit activities, cars parked in the yard, frequent parties, and other disturbances, and threats to public safety. This section is designed to help protect the character and stability of the city's neighborhoods while also respecting individual property rights. So, the applicability, no person shall establish or operate a rooming house or group home or let a person occupy any rooming unit in any rooming house or group home except in compliance with the provisions of this section. So, C, we require business registration. For existing, to the best of our knowledge, we do not have any in this community. D, appointment of an agent or an agent's responsibility. So if you want to operate one of these, you, as part of the registration process, the property owner of the existing or new rooming house or group home shall appoint an agent who lives in Banks or Hall County as the person responsible for the property. The designated agent shall be available to be contacted 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The agent is a party designated to receive all notices from the city concerning use of the property. The name, email, telephone number of the agent responsible for the rooming house or group home will be provided by the city to any neighbors who contact the city with complaints about the rooming house or group home. The designated agent for the property shall be responsible for responding expeditiously to any complaints received by the city and problems that they occur. Registration application requirements. So this is what we would expect to receive. A copy of the recorded plat for the property, a site plan if no current as-built survey exists. 3, a floor plan of each floor of the building. Said floor plan shall be drawn to an acceptable architectural scale and shall show all stairs, halls, and locations, the size of all windows, the location, size of habitable rooms, and exits of each floor to be occupied. The intended use of every room in the building must be indicated on the floor plans. 4, a written statement indicating the number of people proposed to be accommodated or allowed on each floor and services to be provided, if any. Next section, residential management and occupancy. A residential manager shall reside on the licensed premises. So we're saying somebody responsible has to live there in addition to the agent, or it may be the agent in some cases. A telephone shall be located in the residential manager's living quarters. The manager of every rooming house or group home shall keep in the office or other place they are in a register in which they shall be entered the name and residence of every person who becomes a lodger, boarder, or guest therein. Such register shall also show the number of locations, the number or location of the room or bed occupied by such person, the date of his arrival, the period for which he will stay. The register shall also be accessible without charge to the director, any police officer, or other duly authorized agent of the city. An up-to-date floor plan and current list of occupants shall be maintained by the resident manager and posted in a conspicuous location. Occupational limitations. No basement, attic, or accessory building shall be used for rooming house or group home purposes. No registration required by this section shall be issued to any person proposing to use a basement, attic, or accessory building or any part thereof as habitable rooms for rooming house. Airspace. No room in any rooming house or group home shall be occupied as a sleeping room by any person unless there is at least 600 cubic feet of airspace exclusive of the wardrobe and closet space for each and every person occupying any such room. So we're talking cubes here, not square feet. All sleeping quarters shall be served by working heating and cooling facilities and a bed with a mattress for each registered occupant. Minimum basic facilities, at least one flush water closet, lavatory basin and bathtub or shower connected to a water and sewage system and in good working condition shall be supplied for each night, 8 persons or fractions thereof residing within a rooming house or group home. So for every 8 people you would add additional spaces. All such facilities shall be so located within the dwelling that as to be accessible from a common hall or passageway to all people sharing such facilities. Every lavatory, basin, and bathtub or shower shall be supplied with hot and cold water at all times. Food preparations and meals. Any rooming house or group home where food is served shall comply with all requirements of the Banks or Hall County Environmental Health Departments as appropriate. It would fall under the definition of a restaurant at that point. Responsibilities for maintenance. The property owner, property agent, and resident manager of each rooming house or group home shall be individually responsible for the maintenance of safe and sanitary conditions in every part of the rooming house or group home.
I'm gonna interrupt just a second.
Yes.
Basic facilities, but, yeah. 8 people per bathroom sounds a little excessive. Am I wrong? You got,
Excessive or not enough?
that's 8 people per bathroom, it sounds like too many people need more bathrooms. That's what I think.
And that's,
That's our decision made it. It just struck me that 8 people to a bathroom just,
That's what I was.
I mean, it's 3 bedroom, 2 bath, single family home, there's 2 bathrooms. And you can't have more than, 6 people in the house or something like that. 2 people per bedroom, so 6 people per house, so that's 2 bathrooms, 2 bathrooms.
Yeah, I have a bathroom, you need that big.
I just,
you have another number you want to use?
I hadn't come on one yet, but
Okay.
I'm thinking
I got it.
4, I'm thinking 4 right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I'm thinking 4.
I got it marked, so, all right.
It just sounds excessive, but that's gonna be a nasty bathroom. Just be down and honest with it. Thank you.
Okay, chapter 11-6, so now we're looking at non-residential uses. The first one is automobile sales establishments. They must provide parking specifically identified and devoted to customers. Adequate space must be allocated specifically identified and reserved for on-site for the unloading of vehicles brought to the site by the car carriers. It should be a violation to park vehicles for sale, rent, or lease in customer parking areas, unloading zones within landscape strips or any other grass or unpaved area. Outside loudspeakers shall not be permitted when abutting residential zones and uses. When abutting a residential zoning district or use, automobile sales establishments require submittal and approval by the director of a photometric plan for lighting demonstrating compliance with the requirements of chapter 4.4. We've been through 4.4 where we talked about the candle foot on the ground, so these would apply to that. Establishments that will not operate during darkness should not be required to submit a photometric plan, so they wouldn't need the night lights. So, moving on to bed and breakfasts. In districts where permitted, bed and breakfast inns shall have a minimum of 2 guest rooms and a maximum of 5 guest rooms. And the argument there is once you go over 5, you start becoming hotel, motel. 11.6.3, commercial recreation facility, outdoor. So we're talking about outdoor uses for recreation. We're talking about a minimum lot area 2 acres. Legal access shall be derived only from collector or arterial streets. So for our discussion, collector and arterials, 5152 Athens Street, Belton Bridge, Main Street. Those, 365, excuse me. Typically, that's what we're talking about. Setbacks and buffers. A minimum building setback of 100 feet and a natural undisturbed buffer replanted where sparsely vegetated of at least 50 feet. Adjacent to the side and rear property lines shall be required. Exterior lighting. Uses that propose night lighting other than incidental security lighting shall be required to submit a photometric plan to enable the evaluation of impacts from illumination. And we've defined that back in chapter 9. The evaluation, a written evaluation of noise impacts is required at the time of the following special uses are proposed to be established as principal uses. So we get into the list: stadiums, amphitheaters, outdoor firearms, shooting ranges, and racetracks for animals and motor vehicles. Such projects may be required to construct attenuation walls or otherwise address off-site noise impacts. So then the final one, the traffic analysis shall be required for amphitheaters, stadiums, racetracks, for animals or motor-driven vehicles and recreational vehicle parks. would be required. The next one is daycare centers. In districts where permitted, daycare centers shall have at least 150 square feet of outdoor play area and at least 35 square feet of indoor space provided for each child or other person served. And other person served, even though we say daycare centers, they can be adult daycare centers also. The outdoor play area shall be enclosed by a solid wooden fence or masonry wall with a minimum height of 5 feet, or by a building or combination of wall or fence and building. Adequate and safe areas for drop-off and pickup of patrons shall be provided. So, and then the state.
Is there, I'm gonna stop right there. So it has to be a wooden fence or
Masonry
masonry?
is what we're saying.
Okay,
And part of,
so how does, I'm going to the schoolyard, our schoolyard's not fenced like that.
and the schoolyard is not a daycare center.
So-
They may have a daycare component. in
Chain
it.
link, so
Yeah.
we're saying chain link.
This is an item for discussion.
I just,
I can only imagine that the way that it's worded, wherever this particular wording came from, is probably more for privacy fence. Because it talks, it's a wood, a solid, specifically a solid wood fence,
right,
or masonry wall, which I can only imagine the intent behind that language would be privacy. I don't know.
It's
We can
a,
evaluate it.
I kind of feel
It's
like
a-
maybe a little, I don't know. It
It's
might
a-
not be excessive, but I just kind of felt,
it's a two-way street. One is,
Keep people from driving by, see a kid in driveway.
well, that, but by the same token that we've heard it before, we don't want every Tom, Dick, and Harry
peeping in on
her
the kids.
peeping in on kids.
I
Okay,
can
so
get
it's
that,
a
so-
two-way
Right.
street there.
I got you.
But
I just went to the school and I'm like, we don't make our schools do that.
no, because they fall under a complete different set of rules. It's a complete different set of rules.
Yeah,
All right.
all right, sorry.
No, you
Just a question.
golf driving ranges. So for a golf driving range, we're saying a minimum lot area of 10 acres or 1 acre per tee, whichever is greater. So a lot depth and width. The width of a driving range shall not be less than 200 yards at a distance of 350 feet from the tees. The depth along the driving area shall be at least 350 yards measured from the location of the tees. Access, once again, we're saying if we're going to do one of these, they have to be accessible from a collector or arterial street, not from a residential street. Loudspeakers. Loudspeakers paging systems are prohibited when residential use or residential zoning district abuts a driving range. Abandons. Sorry.
We'll change that.
Yeah. And then the hours of operation, and this is for your consideration. Right now, it says 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. 11 p.m. I've had some comments that starts too late and ends too late.
I think,
So,
If you're doing the residential neighborhood, yeah, I think 11's a little late.
so
I would say 10 would be the latest, in my opinion. Maybe 11 on weekends when that could go in more detail, but during the week, definitely not till 11 o'clock, I wouldn't think.
or 10 where it abuts a, where it's not in a commercial or abuts a residential.
Yeah.
Can this be a golf course?
This is specifically talking about driving ranges. I don't think we've addressed a golf course per se,
I didn't see anywhere either.
and so I'm just looking. I'm just looking at our existing properties. They wouldn't necessarily lend themselves to a golf course. Now, as we do more, look at more planned developments, that might be a different. All right. And then lighting. If the driving range is proposed to be lit, a lighting plan shall be required to submit it, just like we've done with everything else.
They have to be at that hour.
Do what?
I said, they have to be lit at that hour.
Yeah. And if you're gonna be successful, you're gonna be open later. So I expect to see lighting plans from anybody that does that. The next one is junkyards. This one is one of the fun ones. Junkyard shall be at least 500 feet from any single-family or multifamily residential zoning district boundary and shall be completely enclosed by a solid wooden fence or masonry wall having a height of 8 feet, which shall be installed along all property lines to effectively screen all stored contents and operations from view. So it says, also see Chapter 18-12. If I remember, that has to do with the fencing heights. A minimum 10-foot wide landscape strip shall be provided along the rear and side property lines, and a minimum 20-foot wide landscape strip shall be required along the front property line. The solid wooden fence or masonry wall, where required, shall be located interior to any required landscaping.
Question.
Yes.
The gate, does it have to be transparent or opaque? Because you're gonna gotta drive in there somehow. If you're trying to screen the whole thing from view, that make it solid gate. Just,
All right. I'm taking notes. All right. The next one is outdoor shooting range. The minimum site size for a skeet or trap shooting range shall be 15 acres. The minimum site size for a rifle range shall be 20 acres. The range portion of an outdoor shooting range shall be located no closer than 500 feet to a residential zoning district boundary or existing residential use. Rifle ranges shall have an earth embankment not less than 25 feet in height and not less than 10 feet in depth along the entire width at the end of the range to serve as a backstop. Hours of operation, and once again, these are up to you. Basically, right now it says 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. The same question applies that we talked about golf ranges.
Yeah, 11 p.m. is a little late.
Yeah, I don't like
You know, they had
11s.
before then.
All right. The next one, racetracks. Distance from a residential zoning district. Racetracks for vehicles or animals shall be located at a minimum of 500 feet from a residential zoning district or existing residential use. Access shall be from an arterial collector road again. Buffers, a minimum 75-foot buffer shall be provided adjacent to any property containing a residential use or residential zoning district. A minimum 50-foot wide buffer shall be provided adjacent to all other property lines. Security fencing. Security fencing shall be provided when the facility abuts a residential use or a residential zoning district. I would say in my mind, any of the ones I know of have security fences anyhow, regardless of where they're at. Now we get into, this is the first one that gets into some more specific sounds. A maximum constant sound level of 60 dBA and a maximum peak sound level of 75 dBA shall not be exceeded at adjacent residential property lines. Sound levels shall be measured by a sound level meter. Noises capable of being measured shall be those that cause rapid fluctuations of the needle of the sound level meter with a variation of no more than plus or minus 2 decibels. Noise measurements of a few minutes only will suffice to define any given noise level. So this in itself, this section is going to dictate larger land parcels. Not that I expect to see any racetracks.
And this is saying that decibel level will be at the property line, not
Yes,
like
this
right
is at the property line adjacent to residential. All right, hours of operation, once again, open to you guys. And this one, you know, most dirt tracks and racetracks tend to be Friday, Saturday, Sunday type operations. So this is only talking about, in general, 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. So once again, looking for input and more definition of what you're looking for. The next one is 1169, which is self-storage facilities or mini warehouses. So the minimum lot size for a mini warehouse development shall be 2 acres and the maximum shall be 4 acres. Excuse me. So individual storage units shall not exceed 800 square feet in area and shall not be used for storage of hazardous materials or toxic substances. The use of individual storage units for living, sales, or hobbies is prohibited. Maximum building height. No individual mini warehouse building shall be more than 200 feet long. And I said height, I meant length. Fencing. Fencing adjacent to a public road right-of-way shall be required in the form of an architecturally finished wall or solid opaque wooden fence. Fences placed on the remainder of the site may be black vinyl coated chain link. Hours of operation. Mini warehouse development shall not be accessible to the general public, excluding on-site managers, between the hours of midnight and 5 a.m. And that's fairly typical these days, but once again, for your consideration. Next one is service and fuel filling stations, so our convenience stores with fuel. All buildings and accessory structures must be located at least 100 feet away from any residential zoning district boundary. All fuel must be stored underground outside of any public right-of-way. B, pumps that dispense gasoline, kerosene, propane, natural gas, or diesel fuels shall be set back at least 25 feet from any street right-of-way. Use is permissible at a service and fuel filling station shall not include major mechanical and body work. Straightening body parts, painting, welding, or storage of automobiles not in mechanically operable condition. No emissions or noxious odors, dust, fumes, gas, noise, or vibration shall be allowed outside of any building. So that's, and I would say on 365, so GDOT roads, so 51 and 52, the canopy for the gas pumps is 40 feet. So what we're talking about, pumps and dispensing shall be at least 25 feet. On most of the roads, they're going to be better further than that. Okay, the next one is truck stops. In zoning districts where permitted, establishments provide refueling of trucks and cater to the needs of truck drivers are subject to the following requirements. All uses other than the dispensing of fuel or other accessory vehicle services must be contained within a single principal building. Such building may contain convenience shopping spaces, a restaurant, television viewing, and recreational lounges, restrooms, facilities, and showers. And that's typical, and I think that still describes the Buc-ee's. So now we're going to go to accessory residential uses. The caretaker residence being the first one. Basically, a residence for a night watchman, accessory to a business or industrial operation may be established in a single-family detached dwelling or as a unit located within the commercial or industrial building. The director may approve one residence or dwelling with a minimum gross floor area of 600 square feet within a principal building or an accessory housing unit on the site of a commercial or industrial establishment as an accessory use, provided that the applicant supplies evidence to the director of the need for the full-time security or 24-hour on-site management. So that's the only type of restriction that we're proposing there. 1172, drive-through facilities. When a drive-through operation is located adjacent to residential zoning district or existing residential use and it involves an exterior loudspeaker, volumes must be monitored and controlled so as to minimize audible sound from the loudspeaker at the property line. Prior to operation or to mitigate unwanted noise after commencement of a drive-through operation, the director may require noise attenuation to be installed on the site with the exterior loudspeaker. If volumes cannot be reduced below those audible at the property line, or if buffers are inadequate to mitigate noise from the exterior loudspeakers. So basically, once again, this is only directing sound, not light, our time of operation. Gasoline or fuel pumps. Pumps that dispense gasoline, kerosene, propane, natural gas, or diesel fuels shall be set back at least 25 feet from any street right of way. That's just continuing on from the earlier one. Manufacturing and fabrication. If approved as an accessory use to a retail use permitted by right, a manufacturing and fabrication activity must occupy no more than 1,000 square feet of floor area, and all products made on premise must be sold on premise as a retail activity. That sort of goes back to what we talked about a little earlier, so you guys need to see if that's what you really want to say. 11.7.5, outdoor storage. Except for an open-air business establishments, outdoor storage, where permitted, shall be screened from view by an opaque fence or freestanding wall no less than 8 feet in height, and should also meet the requirements of subsection 11-2, which deals with wall and fencing. The outside storage of products in conjunction with an enclosed retail establishment shall be limited to a maximum of 10% of the lot. So that, we're talking Lowe's, Wally World, Target, Home Gardens. So think about the 10% of what that means on the sites to you. Outdoor display areas as opposed to storage. Except for an open-air business establishment, outdoor display areas where permitted shall be confined to a specific designated area which must not be within the designated parking areas, like Walmart likes doing. In conjunction with the enclosed retail establishment, outdoor displays shall be limited to a maximum of 10% of the lot. Any area outside of a building where the merchandise or goods are located but which is permanently screened by a fence or freestanding wall at least 6 feet in height shall be considered storage and not outdoor display. So that is one way for them to sort of play with that number. Excuse me. Retail and restaurant use is accessory to office, institutional, or lodging. So what we're saying is if we grow and we have hotels or larger facilities, basically over 10,000 square feet, they could have other smaller and accessory type uses in them. Like I said, barbershops, beauty shops, dry cleaning, drugstores, bookstores, floors, gift shop, convenience food stores, newsstand, cafeterias, sandwich shops, and restaurants. Shops are the requirements of this section. Retail sales and service accessories to the operation for an office complex, institutional use, or lodging facility with 10,000 or more gross square feet are permitted, or otherwise not listed as permitted use, subject to requirements, which is A, the activity must be conducted wholly within the building in which the principal use is located and shall be limited to 15% of the total gross floor area of the building. No merchandise shall be stored or displayed outside the structure in which the principal use is located. And B, the public entrance or entrances to the activity shall be from a lobby, hallway, or other interior portion of the structure in which the principal use is located, except for restaurants located within an office building, hotel, which is permitted one exterior public entrance. I apologize for my coffee. Temporary uses, construction field offices. Manufactured homes or other temporary buildings or structures shall not be occupied as a permanent office or for any other use in any district, provided, however, that such manufactured homes or other temporary buildings or structures may be used for a temporary office on a site where development is under construction, subject to the following. Approval and permit. Approval by the director and issuance of a permit by the building official.
Will this help?
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It would require a permit. It would be for 6 months. It's renewable for once after the 6-month period. Shall be only issued if plans, permits have been approved for one or more permanent buildings on the subject property. Water and sewer. Adequate water and sewage disposal for the structures is approved by Banks County, Hall County Environmental Health Department, or the City Utilities Department. Excuse me, whichever has jurisdiction. So typically what you'll see is if you're doing this, you want the public water, you want to have a small septic system that addresses that specific use, and that would be approved by the health department. Additional installation provisions is the director is authorized to require additional installation standards to ensure compatibility of the appearance and functional safety of the construction field office and the site of which it is located. Removal upon occupancy. Said manufactured home or temporary building shall be removed from the site no later than upon the occupancy of the appropriate permanent buildings or structures intended for use. Compliance with overlay zoning requirements. When this use is established in an overlay zoning district, which for us is the Highway 365 corridor, the requirements of the overlay corridor shall apply to its use. Special.
Maybe saying quit.
I was trying to get us through, but
I'm
hold
glad
on.
you let them know you like a lot being done.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let's take a look at this. Special temporary outdoor events. Just this is basically reflects what's in place right now. That you get to do it for up to 4 times a year. They have to be at least 30 days apart, and you have to have the property owner's authorization. Temporary classrooms is 1183, so you can read through those, how they would apply. The tower and wireless communications facility is the existing ordinance that we have in place. We're not proposing changing it. So that should be the existing ordinance. So if you go to 145, other uses, we don't have a lot of these, so we're trying to address them up front. Aircraft landing areas, both plane and helicopters. You have some distances. Most people won't have this, but somebody will come up with a reason to have one. 1110-2 is landfills. Nobody wants one in their neighborhood, in their town, in their community, but we all need them. So basically I tried to lay out a access. Once again, it has to be from the collector or arterial street. Access shall not be from any residential subdivision or residential development. We talk about screenings. Once again, we're talking about 100-foot minimum. Fencing at least 6 foot high, and being solid fence to any property line that's next to a residential use or zoning district. Obviously, we require the state permits and obviously require the loads to be covered. Beyond that, mining and quarrying, we do not have a lot of those. Don't anticipate having a lot of those, but they do occur from time to time. The biggest thing is a recorded plat, the site plans, what you're trying to do, hours of operation, and here, once again, for your consideration, this is 7 to 7, and operations shall not be allowed on Sundays and national holidays. Copy of all documents that you submit to the state for approval. Any GDOT statements and requirements as far as access and safety of roads. Our public works folks, our engineers, identify any road issues that need to be dealt with, which include repaving, repairs, alteration, turning lanes, anything like that. And then their actual plan when they're done, what they're going to do for the reclamation and rehabilitation of the land. It goes on to some other things. I think I tried to stay consistent on this next one, which none of us want, but on the court cases, we have to have at least some place for them to go. Is sexually oriented adult businesses. So we're going to stay with our requirement in section 810, chapter 810, which we dealt with earlier. So keeping our definitions and requirements. We put some location restrictions in, so look at those. We put some, continuing the obscene materials, defining what that is, defining what unlawful acts are. So basically, I would refer you back to the existing chapter 810 for more details. There's just a few more restrictions outside of that ordinance. Chapter 1112 is infill residential developments. And basically there, we're looking, like we talked about the R1H, the historic, how do you make it fit the community? So if you're putting a house in the middle of a block of older homes, how do you make it look and feel like it's part of that development? And the only thing I would point out there to you for review and comment is 1112.5, because it says the minimum lot size of lots within a residential infill development project. So we're not talking necessarily one parcel, but a project. We're saying it has to be 10,000 square feet. Whereas R1H, some of those lots are in the 4,000 square to 6,000 square foot size. So that's why I was trying to distinguish that. Look at the next section, which deals with lot widths. This is talking project area versus R1H. So this whole section, I would tell you, you may want to look at a different application and whether we want to do this section at all. Just rely on R1H. But it goes
All this is for R1 in this section?
This has to do with infill, so there's a house that burnt down now, we want to put something else back.
Okay, so it's not,
Or it's a lot that's never been developed because of whatever, it has geography, terrain, drainage issues, and now somebody wants to do something. So this would be outside the R1H, it would be like East Winds, those 5 undeveloped lots out there would be an example of infill.
but we could take this and just say that it has to be conducive to the zoning
Yes,
and not even have this section, is that what you're saying?
that's what I'm saying. I'm asking you to look at it and see if it's something you want. Like I said, we made allowances when we changed and put in the R1H zoning district because we knew we had small lots in
You
there.
gonna make it?
I'm gonna make it.
Okay.
I'm finding it fine. It's
Sure.
just I have a,
Maybe start with moonshine.
that probably help. No, the intent is we created R1H to address the small lots, existing lots in the old part of town, both Belton and Lula. So this one is a little more broader. Do you think it's something we need or not? Thank you, ma'am. If we don't, we can take it out. It doesn't change. It's just something other communities had to try to, like I said, the intent here is I'm trying to look at a bigger project area. So I'm doing 3, 4, 5 lots or a block versus a lot at a time. And that is chapter 11.
Woo-hoo.
And like I said, please give me comments and feedback. I've marked what you guys commented on, but Like I said, there's plenty to review. There's not a right or wrong answer per se. It's what is the community standard going to be, and that's what I try to ask every time is, what is it you guys want?
I do have a problem, a question about 11, 12, 11 garages. 11, 12, 11, page 151.
Yes.
I got it. The garage has to be at the back of the building, on the infill lot. The back of the lot, I'm sorry, behind the building. I'm not sure if that's, because you have access to it and come out the side of it. You won't have to release small lots, you won't have to come out, put a driveway beside the building to get to the back of the lot. Am I wrong?
Well,
Oh, it can either be attached or detached.
it just says if it's detached, it needs to be to the rear of the property and not to the sides. Because most of your lots are not going to be large lots
It
like.
says either attached or detached.
Yeah, but the to the rear is going to be a detached.
Oh, okay, so the one attached to the front, they can be attached to the front, but not to the back. Is that what you're saying?
He's saying if it's detached, it needs to go to the rear.
Right.
If it's not attached to the building, then it needs to go to the rear. Right? Is that what?
That's what I'm saying,
That's how I'm reading
yes.
that.
That's what I'm trying to say, yes. It is detached because most of our lots are not going to be wide enough where you have the home and then the garage to meet your setback requirements.
Most of them, you know, back in, so it don't matter. Okay,
All right?
yeah, we're done.
I apologize for that.
Shut up, we're home.
So, the intent, like I said before we started, is either 2 or 3 more meetings to that deal. One meeting will deal with specific design requirements, and then the rest will, the other meeting should be procedures, how we conduct our meetings, whether for rezoning, variances, special use. So the process.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Okay. Wow. I guess I was down the rate, didn't okay, we're gonna have a executive session now, to discuss personnel, legal, and real estate. You're welcome to hang around and to wait till we get back or to leave. But before I do that, I will do some comment now, that way, you don't have to stick around, okay? All right. Come on, Wade. In case nobody knows, that's Mr. Wade Dale, he's from Guilford, Georgia, the mayor of Guilford, Georgia.
Big city of Gillsville.
And the mailman.
And the mailman, that's right, we have that in common. But thank you all for your service, we sure appreciate that. And I feel your pain because we're going through the exact same thing. We're going through our zoning ordinance and trying to get them out of the 1920s. And it's sure, I know it's taxing on you guys and I sure appreciate you. And I appreciate what you do for this community. And I'm not here today standing as the mayor of Guildsville, I'm standing here as the pastor of Spoken Word Church. We started down here in 1971, July the 4th, and in a little small building, and we've been there ever since. 54 years last week, July the 4th, and we've expanded and grown, and we need to expand again. According to your zoning ordinance, we are R3, which everything we're wanting to do is fine except for the setback variance. The setback is 45 feet from the Highway 23. The current building sits 26 feet from the highway. We can't expand backwards anymore because it looks like we're in a submarine anyway. Everything's so long, you know. So we want to expand sideways north toward, I don't know if Ms. Bumstead still owns that property, but the house on the corner over there where the church is. And we want to expand about 18 more feet, just attach it to the building and then go down the side of the building and do nothing inside the existing building, but just knock a wall down. And that's why we need that setback, because if not, then if I have to go 45 feet, I can't build because my pulpit is up against Highway 23, and that's where we need a lot of our room. So if we could, if you could approve that, I sure would appreciate it. And we've been here, and I think we're gonna stay here. So we've expanded. My dad passed away a couple years ago, and he was a pastor there for 45 years. And then the Lord took him home, and he had a stroke first, and then they voted me in a couple years ago as the pastor of the church. So we've been here in the community for a long time, and we have a lot of folks that they don't live in this community, but they come here and spend money in this community. And we know how we get all that SPLOST money and all that stuff, you know, from people buying stuff. We get that piece of the penny. And so we have people from Cumming, Gainesville, Atlanta, Greenville that come to church there. So we are not a complete community church, but we sure bring them in, and we spend the money in the restaurants here and the stores, and we're not going anywhere, but we sure would. And I'll make sure that when we get the plans ready, that it'll be on a napkin where that you can read exactly what it is. And it'll be on a bigger one. It may be like a bounty, you know, kind of a thicker picker-upper thing, you know. So, no, I told him, I said, I've got it in my head, the plans. I said, but I'm waiting on you guys to approve it because it's free up here. It's going to cost $2,000 or $3,000 when I have somebody draw the plans up, and I don't want to do it.
So you're asking for a variance to 25 foot? Is that
That would be, yeah,
is what you're
close to,
asking?
yeah,
Okay.
from 45 to 26.
45.
We'll hear it next Monday night.
And it would be just an extension of the building right where the wall is. It would be straight across and then down all the way the length of the building. About 800 square feet.
Won't bother nobody.
This is front side setback that you're looking at, or side?
That is
setback?
correct, front.
Front, okay.
Yeah, sides I'm fine.
All right.
Side setback under the zoning,
And
the
it's
R3 that we're under is fine. I'm way away from the property line. It's just the front part, Highway 23 to the building. So that's the only thing I'm asking for. And then we'll get the plans, not on a napkin, but we'll get you some plans when we. That was kind of funny. And I can't believe you guys don't let people have a shooting range in their yard. I can't believe that.
Well, some people do.
We do in Guildsville. We had one guy, he wanted to do it, and we had no ordinance to say he couldn't, so. And that was me. So, thank you very much, I appreciate that. Thank you for your service.
Thank you, Lee. One thing about his church up there, he packs the parking lot every Sunday. You see people up there.
It's gotta be packed
all
from the
day
inside.
time.
Yeah, we kind of
Fill it up.
pack them in for
He doubles the population of Louisville on Sundays, just about.
500 or so.
That's good.
Anybody else?
Okay, Fulton Wood. The knee socket, you can turn around and put your water spigot up there, you know, run water, because we did it for Garnet, he's got a well and.
Oh, I don't need it now, I done dug well.
I'd go ahead and apply for it anyway, that makes the property better. But anyway, how y'all doing again? I got a couple issues there I need to talk to you about. I need the Historical Society and City Council stay separate from the Historical Society on a couple issues where there's some problems that one Historical Society and City Council member, you know, taking money and not, you know, letting people use the space. And then having problems out of when they do the application, you turn around and put down what you're gonna sell. And then turn around once the, every day when they sit up, and then they say, oh, you can't sell this item. There was a lady, the taco lady, had a problem with that. And my daughter, out of goodness of her heart, sold everything that lady had. But my daughter, money come up missing. And we had a witness that she gave the money to one of the city council member and the historical society member. You know, I request y'all to quit giving them money anyway, because it's a non-profit organization. And also, they can set up more events, you know, and stuff, you know, to raise that money. That's city's money that y'all could use on the old jailhouse to fix it up, where all the mold is. You can turn around and use it, put potholes over there across the Railroad Avenue over there. It's good money that you can use for gravel. Over there in the parking, on the alley that y'all purchased the property. I'd appreciate it if y'all would take every dollar, consider it, and put it to good use, not wasteful use. Because, you know, when y'all donate, y'all gotta give these city workers a job to go over there and pick up the trash after them, if I'm not mistaken. And then turn around, that's overtime. Take that in consideration. You know, but anyway. And the restrictions of payment versus asphalt is that if we already got gravel driveways, then we gotta go back and pour concrete or asphalt. Take that in consideration. Because there's some good investors here that's already got subdivisions on gravel. Thank you very much.
Anybody else?
Can I say something positive?
No.
Never. I just want to tell y'all thank you because I made a phone call today. I can't remember who I spoke to, but the stop sign that went down at Railroad Avenue, I guess somebody wanted a stop sign because they basically took the stop off. As soon as I called up here and wasn't even out of my driveway within 30 minutes, y'all were already there taking care of it. So I know sometimes you get a lot of negative things, but knowing that you can call and have something addressed immediately, it means a lot as well. So I want to say thank you.
That's the kind of like to do too.
Yes. So I want to just say thank you.
Thank you.
So another call we start with, we can't handle right this minute.
Yes.
Anybody else? Okay, we're gonna have an executive session to, like I said, discuss personnel, legal and real estate. I don't expect we're gonna make a decision during this, but you're working on it, I guess we do, I'll announce that after this. So now, entertain a motion to executive session.
I make a motion that we enter executive session for personnel.
Hold up, I messed up. We still got the council comments.
All right.
I messed up. All right, Tony.
Sure. I want to thank everyone for coming out, and thank you for all the comments. Thank you for everyone that has stood up and gave us your feedback. We definitely need that. Continue to do that, and we appreciate all of your input, and thank you for enduring through all of our uniform development code, because that's really exciting stuff. But it's very important, and it does affect us now and in the future. So it's a very worthwhile cause to be involved in that. Thank you.
I'm just gonna echo what he said, so I don't have to repeat it, and thank y'all for coming out. And I will say thank you for your comments, because it does help us make decisions when you, even if it is negative and we don't wanna hear it. It helps with our decisions because it makes you, think differently than what you do think. It makes you consider other things. So even though we may be like, something negative, it does help with the process, whether it's negative or positive, because that's what we're here to do. We bounce, because we don't always agree. We have to bounce that off, and that helps make decisions. So all of it is welcome, even though we like the positive better. And I hope y'all have a wonderful week, and thank y'all for coming out.
Chris?
Thank everybody for coming. I'm positively glad y'all are here, and yeah, good day without rain, and so come back next Monday.
Thank everyone for coming. Sure would be good if we could get some rain, you know.
We're divided on the weather. We're on the weather. What's the matter with us?
But don't get it.
I do want to thank everybody coming. We try to make it meeting enjoyable, but sometimes it's hard to do. But bear with us. We're going to get it done. Honestly, we are. Now I entertain much of executive session.
I'll make a motion that we move to executive session for personnel, legal, and real estate.
I'll second. Chris.
Motion made by Tony, second by Chris. All in favor say aye.
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 Thank you. Thank you all.
Y'all working hang around, but you don't have to.
All your friends, honey.
Okay, to make it make a decision in executive session. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Motion made by Denise, second by Chris to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.
Thank you.